Hello everyone, welcome to Imperium. This is the first DBMS lecture. It is the start of the database management course. I will teach you the SQL and PSQL language, also the theory of DBMS. So what is DBMS? Well, the full form is Database Management System, and it allows you to store, retrieve and manipulate the data which is in the database. So it is mainly used for data storing and in the backend. So now there are two options or two ways on which you can do the coding. So the first is terminal and the second is a workbench. So I prefer the workbench because it has more features than the terminal, and it is also very beginner friendly. So I'll show you how to download the MySQL workbench. Just go on your browser, type MySQL workbench download. So now as you can see, the link has we can see the link. So download MySQL workbench. We It will take you to this interface. Windows x86 64-bit MSI installer. Make sure it is the MySQL workbench community download. We'll select download. Now here we just select no thanks, just start my download. As you can see, the download is started, and we'll go in the folder and just double tap it. The setup wizard has opened. Will next, this is the location where the web workbench will be downloaded. If you want to change it, you can. And next we will select the complete options because it will install all the required features for the coding. Install. So now we will grant the access. So the download has been completed. So in the bottom left corner, as you can see, the launch MySQL workbench. Now you have to select it and then you have to do finish. Now as you can see, download, the workbench has opened. So these are my these are the connections I already had. So I will show how to create it. Just select the add, then you have to type connection name, then you have to keep the connection method as the default only. Then you can change the host name. If you don't change it, it's not problem. You have to change the port name because if it's not your first time. So as you can see, I have my one connection's name is as 3306 and another one as 3308. So if I use 3306, it will connect to this connection only, and it will not create another connection. So you can just select it as 3307, and then you can change your username. It's not necessary, and store a password in the vault. After that, just leave the schema blank and just press OK. Now because I already have connection, I won't create a new one, just cancel it. Then I'll show you. Later it will ask you for your password, so just So just save it somewhere. So now this is the query tab where you can actually do the coding. If you want to create more query tabs, you can just select this, the SQL plus. You can see the create new SQL tab for executing queries. You can just use it to create as much tabs you want. You have the script file option. You can create it, so you can save it anywhere in the laptop or your PC. There are many options such as view, the query tab, so execute all selection or the execute current statements. Different options. This is the database, so the connect database, manage connections, etc. We have the server options, the tools, scripting, and help. So this is one uh, advantage of Workbench uh, compared to terminal. So this is how you create or use Workbench. I will show you how to code it in the later videos, because we also have the theory part of the DBMS. So we will stop here only. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. So this is the second lecture of the DBMS course. So last time we saw how to download the MySQL Workbench. Today I will show you some theory, and then we will learn the query language of creating database, deleting database, and then creating table, deleting table, and how to retrieve the information that you have inserted in the table. So first we will see the theory. So note that I am using my personal notes. If you want these, you can take a screenshot, and if you want to write it, that's your choice. So we saw that what is DBMS? It stands for Database Management System. So it's a software that manages and organizes the data in a structured manner. So what is a database? A database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored in a computer system. So it's collection of data, and we can create different databases with different names and use them as we please. So these are the features of DBMS. So this is the backup and recovery. It's one of the features of DBMS. Now DBMS is classified in two types, that is RDBMS and NoSQL. So RDBMS has stands for Relational Database Management System. So in this we have tables, columns, rows, and then we have different types of keys and constants. Now we saw what is database, and next. So now database languages. So we have DDL, DML, DCL, and TCL. So these two, DCL and TCL, are for the later part. So we have transactions and functions in the DCL and TCL languages. So first we are going to learn DDL and DML. So that is data definition language and data manipulation language. So in DDL there are like syntaxes or keywords such as create, alter, drop, truncate, comment, rename, and etc. So these fall under data definition language, and in under data manipulation language we have insert, update, and etc. Those fall under data manipulation language. So now the select, insert, update, and delete, these fall under data manipulation language. So these two, I won't take them for now. We will take a look at them later. And now DQL. This is the subgroup or subset of data manipulation language which has common command is such as select. Now these are the characteristics of DBMS. So it uses a digital repository established on a server to store and manage the information. So and the one of the important is the asset properties. So it contains asset properties which maintain data healthy state in case of failure. The asset property is the concept in DBMS which is necessary for maintaining data consistency, integrity, and reliability while performing transactions. So the transactions fall under the TCL, that is the transaction control language, in which the asset properties mean these are the this is the acronym. So ACID is the acronym for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So ACID stands for that. We will look into that when we learn TCL. Let's go to next page. These are the advantages and disadvantages of DBMS. So please take screenshots on notes because this is important. Now we will look in data models. So relational data model. So this is this type of model design that data in the form of rows and columns within a table. So this is widely used, and we will like the create and the create table query alter table. It's used in this only. Will so as you see, we have table, we have student ID, student name, student age, and student class, and student section. So we create this table by using the create table query. I will show you the practical also in Workbench. First we will do the theory. So now this is second is the entity relationship data model. This shows the relationship of between two entities. So let's say we put here student, then it is taught by teacher, or we can put student goes to college. So the diamond box shows the relationship between the two entities, and the attributes mean the student id and student name, like we have written in the above table. Those are the attributes for the entity. Then we have object based data model. This is basically the extension of er model, which has functions and objects, which it has notations for that. And the objects are nothing but the data carrying its properties. Then the last is semi-structured data model. This type of data model is different from the other three models because the data semi-structured data model allows the data specification at places where the individual data items of the same type may have different attributes. So in simpler terms, a semi-structured data model means that not all data items are of the same type. So, and they do not have to follow a strict structure. For example, if you have record of several records of people, so in that some people might have their phone number included in that record, and some may not. Some may have their emails included. So this is the basic like idea of the semi-structured data model. So each record can have different details or attributes, if you may say, and that's okay in this model. So next, so these are now the type of entity. that is a weak entity, and entity that depends on another entity is called as weak entity. So let's say this is the example. So loan, so installment is dependent on loan. If you don't take a loan of something, you like don't need to pay installments. So that is how the example is. This is the box of representation. Then we have attributes. So the attribute is used to describe the property of an entity. Like I said, we have here, these are the attributes. So these give the like in detail information. We can say like breakdown of a entity. So we can say it's an attribute. So if we take student, so what is the information breakdown of student? His ID, name, age, etc. So this is the ER representation of how we write the entity and the attributes. We have an ER model. So we have entity, attributes, and relations. So we'll go in entity. An entity may be any object, class, person, or place. So in the ER diagram, an entity can be represented as rectangles. So these are simple rectangles which represent an entity. So employee, this is an entity, works for a department or a company. So that's another entity. So what is the ER diagram? The ER model stands for entity relationship model. So this is the like basic representation. We saw it before. And next we'll go for the component ER diagram. So that is this. So the like what has happened is maybe the pages have gotten jumbled up. So that's why we have like uh, the pages have become front and back. So we can work with it. So no, it's no problem. So now we already saw weak entity and attributes. I will see this is the attributes. So first, key attribute. The key attribute is used to represent the main characteristics of an entity. So the key attribute is represented by an ellipse with the text underlined. So as in ID. So what is a key attribute? We can like say ID is like a key attribute. It is different for every student, but so is the phone number. But id is like more important because we can like recognize someone with the id. We don't learn the phone number so often. So in colleges we have ids for that, so that we don't jumble up students. So id is the key attribute in this model. Then we have composite attribute, the attribute that composed of many other attributes is known as a composite attribute. So for example, we have name. In name you have first name, middle name, and last name. So this is a composite attribute. Other example can be the date of birth, which will have the day, the month, and the year. So date of birth can also be a composite attribute. Then we have multi-valued attribute. An attribute can have more than one value. The double oval is used to represent multi-valued attribute. So as the phone number, so one person can have multiple phone numbers because they can own multiple SIM cards. So that this phone number falls under multi-valued attribute. Then derived attribute. An attribute that can be derived from other attribute is known as derived attribute. It can be represented by a dashed ellipse. So for example, a person age changes over time and can be derived from another attribute like the date of birth. So the age can be derived from the birth date. So basically age is dependent on the birth date, similar to the weak entity in which uh, 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 an entity is dependent on a another entity. So now relationship. A relationship is used to describe the relation between entities. So diamond or rhombus is used to represent the relationship. So this is the uh, drawing, or you can say, which is used to represent a relationship. First we have teacher, it's an entity. Student, it's another entity, and this is the relation. So what is the relation between teacher and student? Teacher teaches student. So this shows the relationship of the ER diagram, or the relationship between two entities. Now types of relationships are as follows. So we have four types, that is one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many. So first we'll see one to one relationship. So when only one instance of an entity is associated with the relationship, then it is known as one to one relationship. For example, a female can marry to one male, and a male can marry to one female. So, and other example we can take is a child can only have one father, and a child can have only one mother. So we can take that as also an example. So how we will put it in the ER model? It's female married to male. That's one to one relationship. Now one to many relationship. When only one instance of an entity on the left and is like connected or attached to more than one instance of another entity on the right, then this is known as one to many relationship. For example, scientist can invent many inventions, but the invention is done by only specific scientist. So this is the ER representation. We write 1 to show it's 1 to m, that is 1 to many. So this is the scientist invents invention, 1 to many relationship. Now many to one relationship. When more than one instance of the entity on the left side is connected to only one instance of an entity on the right side, so it is called as many to one relationship. A student enrolls for only one course, but a course can have many students. Or we can say a student goes to one college, but a college has multiple students. So this is student, that is many to one, because student can be multiple which choose a single course. For example, a student chooses computer science, so multiple students can choose single course, that is computer science. Now many to many relationship, where when more than one instance of the entity on the left side and more than one instance of an entity on the right side is associated with each other, it is known as many to many relationship. For example, employee can many uh, assign too many projects, and a project can have many employees for it, many employees associated to it. So employee is assigned a project, so many employees can be assigned the same project, and the same employee can be assigned to multiple projects, so which makes it a many to many relationship. So this was the fourth type of relationship. So we will stop this lecture here only. In the next lecture, we will look into SQL and I will show you the practical of creating table, updating it, creating database, etc. If you have any doubts in today's lecture, please comment. We will try and solve it as soon as possible. Thank you. Welcome back to Imperium. So last time we saw the introductory part. We saw what is an ER model. Then we saw the elements that are present in the ER model. It's entity, attribute, and relation. We saw their types. So weak entity, types of attributes, types of relations. So today we will learn SQL language, that is the query language, which is used to manipulate data inside the database. So now there are two types of DBMS, that's relational database management system and non-relational database management system. So in the relational database management system, the data is stored in a table format. So you can see the roll number, name, class. This is the relational database management system. And in non-relational database management system, the data is stored in key value pair. So we will learn this later. So now what does SQL stands for? It's structured query language. So SQL is used for update, delete, insert data in the table, which is for the relational database management system. Now these are the commands. I'll just show you directly instead of going one by one, page by page. So first we will learn the how to create a database. So the command for that is create database. Now I have already created a database named Imperium, so I will name it Imperium 1. Then you select this and select this option, the execute statement under the keyboard cursor. So you can see action output. In the action output, it's tick. That means the database is created. Now if you select this one more time and run it again, you will see that it has denied it because it also says that can't create database because it already exists. So this is the creation. Now if you, let's say you did a spelling mistake or something else, how would you delete the database? So the syntax for that is drop database, the database name, so now it is giving an error because we haven't given semicolon here. We'll just go semicolon. Now we'll select it and then execute. You can see the database has been dropped, and because we didn't insert anything, 0 rows are affected. So now once again, so this was creating and drop. Next is after creating the database, how will you connect to the database? So you will use the syntax as use and database name. So the first database I created was Imperium. So this is, see, this database. You can see use Imperium. It has accepted it. So now we are working in the Imperium database. So if we create any tables and insert the data in it, we'll find it in the database Imperium. So if you have created many databases, so in here you can see it directly. But if someone is using a terminal, so how will you see like how many databases are there, what name of the database is there. So for that the query is show database. This is the query. It will be databases. Now we'll select run. So here you can see all the databases. So show databases is one of the like most useful commands, because if you have created multiple databases like I have, you can like get to see what is the name of the database and you can use them later on. So it's not much useful in MySQL Workbench, but the people who has used MySQL shell or the terminal directly, so this command is very useful. Next we'll see the creation of table. So we'll go create table and then table name. So I'll take table name as student and then open close circular bracket semicolon. Now in the circular brackets we will insert the like information that we want. For example, here we wanted the roll number, name and class. So like that I will write roll underscore number. Note that the spaces are not allowed. So as if you write roll and number, the space is not allowed for the element name. So you have to go like you can just type it like together only, that's roll number, or you can give it a underscore to separate the words. So now roll number, then data type. So for roll number we can take data type as integer. So the int comma. Now second one was name. So name, and in C or C++ we use character, and by character we use string. So in Java we directly use string function. MySQL doesn't have string, it has varchar. So varchar, that means variable character, and we have to define number in it. So we can give the like limit. So how many number of elements are you limiting that user can input? So I'll just give 30. Remember that it will like stop at 30, it won't go further 30. But if you type less than 30, like let's say a name is Ayush, so Ayush only has 5 letters. So like the it won't like say key it's only 5 letters, I want all 30 spaces to be filled. It will allow the less than and equal to 30 elements or characters in the backend. Also you can uh, use the text, that is the text data type. In this you don't have to uh, give a limit or anything, you can just type text. So name text, and then we had classes where year we had. So year, so that is in which year you are studying. And for year again we will use varchar or text. So I'll give varchar here and then select the table, execute. Now I can see the create table query has been executed. Now to insert data into the table, we'll go, the syntax for inserting is insert into table name, that is student, and values. Again brackets will give. So now in this order, first roll number, then name, and then the year. In this order we have to insert the data. So for example, I'll give roll sorry, I'll give roll number as, let's say 10, remember for text and varchar, that is for characters you have to give double inverted commas and you have to write in between them. So name, I'll give, let's take Ayush only, and for year we'll give SY. So after this we can select it and execute. You can see the insert uh, query has been executed. You can like do this again, like copy it, then paste and change the values down, or you can just give a comma here. It's comma, and in the same order just copy this, paste it. You can paste it multiple times, just separate it by commas and then change the values. Here we'll give R, here we'll give third year 13, go with Ninad. First year 14, go with Pranav. Let's keep Pranav in second year. So now we'll select this and then execute. So you can see the new data has been inserted. Now we'll select, that is retrieve the data, how to get the data again. So we'll go select star from table name. So remember the star here means all of the elements and all of the data. So when you say select star from student, the star indicates that all the entities that are present in the data, that is the roll number, the name, the year, I want all of that to show. We'll go select star from student, execute. You can see because we first inserted like Ayush in a single layer and then we took it again, it has taken Ayush two times. So there is a key for that which you can give. It's called primary key. So when you use primary key, it allows only one entry of, like, it doesn't allow a duplicate entry. So let's say if I took, like, if I gave the roll number a primary key, so it wouldn't have taken two entries of the roll number 10. It would have just declined it because we would have given the primary key. So I'll show you that also. I'll show you that in the next table. I'll show you how to drop the table. So this was retrieving, and now how deleting the table. It's drop table and table name. Let's drop table student. You can select and execute. As you can see, the table has been dropped, and all the entries are also gone with it. Now we'll create another table. In that, I'll show you like the use of primary key. So for example, let's take this table only. So I'll just give or add primary key to the roll number. Remember, you should add the primary key to the entities or the attributes that are like that won't repeat. Like, you cannot give primary key to the names because many people have the name Ayush, but to roll numbers in student, like in student management system or in college, you can give the primary key to the roll number. You can also give the primary key to the phone number. So that is the use. So the entities or attributes which are going to be singular, and you know that don't need to be duplicated, So you should give primary key to them. So now I've given primary key to the roll number. We'll insert the same values. Execute. Oh, sorry, we haven't created. My bad. Now to this. So we can see create table and NC table. Now we'll select for the student. So remember these are the inputs for now, and let's add another input. Let's insert into student values. So now we'll add the next same. So I'll take the same roll number, that is, let's say I take 11, and you know what, even if I take a different name, for here I took Arya for the roll number 11, even if I take Atharva, comma, Atharva, and then let's take F only. So see that I have changed the name, the year, but that won't matter because of the roll number. The query won't execute. See, it says duplicate entry 11 for key student primary. So this means that there is already an entry for the roll number 11, and because of the primary key, the database is not allowing us to make another input of the same roll number. That is a duplicate input. According to it, it doesn't check the name or the year that we have given, because we haven't given any condition for it. Just because the roll number is similar, it is repeated, the database does not allow the entry. So now let's just change the entry. After changing the roll number, as you can see, it allows the insertion operation. So here Atharva is added. Also the order that you like insert the values in, it will remain in that order only. It won't like go alphabetically or the number wise. It doesn't check that. It just goes, it's first in and first show, like it's like that. So this, at last we'll just drop the table again. So these were the database operations and the table operations. Will we have more operations such as update, and we have many operations in the retrieving data format. Because here we are just using star, that means we want all the data that is present in the database or the table, let's say the table. But when there is a where clause, it's WHERE, it it can, with that you can give multiple conditions, and you can retrieve the data for a specific thing, that like a specific name or a specific year. Or let's say if you have added the percentage, you want all the students that have gotten above 80%, so you can also give that condition, and it will show you the students name only for those who have grade equal to or greater than 80%. So we'll see those clauses and more operations in the next lecture. Thank you. And if you have any doubt, you can like put it in the comment section. and we'll try to solve it as soon as possible. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. So last time we learned the creation and deletion of the database. We also learned the creation of table. We learned the insertion of data. We learned retrieving the data and deletion of the table. Today we will learn the alter table statement and the constraints of the database which are commonly used. So first, alter table. Firstly, I'll use the database Imperium. After this, we will create a table. Let's say student. I will create SID int his name will take marks, contact number. Note that I have used the numeric for contact number because if we take int, it only allows you to insert 8 integers or 8 numbers. So that's why I have used the numeric data type. And now we'll create this table. So if we want to see the output, we'll just now we can see the table has been created. Now we will insert some values in it. So let's say, or before inserting, let's say that we want to add another column. So like you have two options: either drop the table, create a new table with the column that you have forgotten now, or use the alter table query, which will add the new column at the very end of the table that you have currently created or are using. So what is alter table statement or alter table query? So it allows you to add, delete or modify columns in an existing table. So we have created the table student. Now what I have to do is add a column. So what is the query for adding the column? So it is alter table, then table name, which is stud for student, then add column, then add column name. So that is, it will be add column name. So here we want to add address. So we want address of the student, and if you just run this query, it won't work because when you add a column, you also need to give the data type of that column. So I'll just give the data type as text. Now I can see there is no errors displaying on the screen. We'll run it and the query has been executed successfully. So now if we select from the student table, we can see that the address column has been added. We will insert some values in it. Insert into stud values. Note that you can use this format to insert any values. That is, you can write the data in this circular brackets, or there is another way or another syntax in which you add the column names before inserting the value. So it is like insert into student, then you add the column names, that is SID, SName, SMark. Remember that when inserting the column names, you don't add the data types in the insert query. So you just give the column names. So this last contact number and address. So after this, you can just close the circular bracket, then add your values in this or add the data in this. We'll go first, roll number 10. I'll take name as ABC. After this, you can see we have marks, contacts, and address. For marks, I just put 80.5 because we have taken the data type as float. The contact number numeric will go, and then for the last is address. You just type in Pune. Now you can run this query, the values will be inserted, and if you want to insert multiple values in a single line, you can just copy this much, the data between the two circular brackets, paste it, like you have to separate it with a comma, paste it and change the inputs as you wish. Turn number as 46. If you run this, you can see the query has been executed. After selecting, you will see two rows. So this is one form to insert your data. If you remove this, there's no problem. See, if you remove this values, student values, and if you enter this data, so I'll change the numbers so it won't be same. I'll keep it Mumbai. You can see it doesn't matter if you use this syntax or this syntax. So this is used for the user's understanding, so he doesn't forget which column name is first or which column is first. So if roll number is first or the ID is first or the name is first, so for that purposes this syntax is used, and there is no specifics to it. So if you drop it, it is no problem. Now you can see there are four rows here. Now if we have to delete a column from the table, so we saw the adding of the column, now it's the deletion of a column or dropping of column. For that you have to type the alter table query for dropping column. The syntax is alter table, table name, then we have drop column. You can see that while adding we didn't write add column, we just wrote add and column name, but while dropping we have to add the word column, so it's alter table student drop column, then column name. So it is address. You can see that while adding we had to give the data type, but while dropping we don't need to specify the data type. After just giving the column name, you can drop the column. Now if we check the table, you can see the column address has been dropped. So it has also updated the entries that were inserted into the table. Next is modifying a column. Let's say that you just wanted to keep the marks in integer. What would you do? So you have inserted four values. This is easier because it's only four values, but in industry there are thousands of values inserted. If you delete the table, all of that data will be gone. Then you will have to do all that work over again, which will waste a lot of time. So for that there is alter table modify column query. So the syntax is alter table name and modify column, and column name you will take as marks, and the data type which you have to change. So like now it is float, but I have to make it integer, so I'll type int. You can see the marks I had inputted was 80.5 and 78.5, but they have been changed because the integer doesn't take the decimal points or the decimal numbers after the point. That's why we can see the change or the updated version of the student marks. So this is how the modify column query works with using alter table. Now we will look at constraints. So there are many constraints in the SQL, but commonly used there are uh, 7 constraints that are commonly used in the SQL. We will now look at them. So now we have not null. That's the first constraint. So it ensures that a column cannot have a null value. So basically, if we go in this table, so if we put not null in front of this while creating the table, not null in front of this student ID, what will happen is, so the table will not allow the user to keep the student ID blank, or you can say that it is mandatory to fill in that column, that is the student ID column, or it will not accept the insertion operation only. That is how the not null constraint works. Second is unique. So what unique does is, it, let's say you put unique. So what it does is, it doesn't allow the same entries or the same data to be inserted. If I put, if I insert 45 as the student ID again, it will not take that data, or it will not insert that data, because the 45 student ID already exists in the table. If it's a duplicate ID that we are inserting in the table, unique will not allow the insertion operation in the table. Next we have the primary key. So primary key is easy to understand because it is the combination of not null and unique constraint. So basically, when using primary key, the column or the element which, let's say we use primary key. So now student ID cannot have a blank space, which is it is mandatory to have some data, and the data that is inserted in the student ID could not be duplicated or repeated in another insertion operation or in another data insertion. Let's say we have given the 20 ID for the name EBC, and if we try to give the 20 ID again for the name MN, that is the second student, we are assuming, if we do this, it will not allow the insertion operation because the table already has an entry with the student ID 20. And the not null part does is, if we just leave it blank, let's say we just left it blank like this, it won't allow it because it needs some data in that column. Next we have foreign key. So the foreign key is used to join two tables. So you can use the table or the element of one table into another. For example, we have a parent table as a person. Let's say create table person. We'll add person ID and we'll add person name. Text. We'll create the table. Okay, sorry. Note that the foreign key works only with the elements which are given the constants unique or primary key. So which means there shouldn't be duplicated data in the table in that particular column. So that's why foreign key only works with unique or primary key. So I'll give primary key to person ID. Now I will select this, run the command. So now we have created the table person ID, and now we are creating another table which is the child table. So person is the parent table and let's say order is the child table. Person table order will go order ID int will go order date, and then let's say we have to take the percent ID or use the percent ID in this order table. So person ID int. Now there are two ways to use this. So first you can just go is references table name, that is person table, and then what element are we referencing? The person ID. This is one way to use the foreign key, or there is another way which is the preferred one, that is you just keep person ID int, you separate it with the comma, then you type foreign key in bracket, which key is the foreign key, that is the person ID. So we have given foreign key to the person ID element, and now references to the table and the column. Now we'll run this. As you can see, the query has been accepted. This is how you use the foreign key. Now we will see the check constant. So what is a check constant? It ensures that the values in common satisfy a specific condition. So let's say we will take the table person only. First I will drop the table. I have dropped it. See, this is another example. You cannot drop the table person because we have given foreign key to the orders table. So first we have to drop the orders table and then we have to drop the person table. For this, there is another query. It's called as on delete and on update cascade. I'll show you. First, I will drop the orders table. So you drop the table, and then when here you can give on delete and on update cascade. That is on. So what this does is, so I'll just add key person ID. person. So this is the cascade. This is the query. So this on delete and on cascade means that if you delete any data or the entry of a particular ID, let's assume ID number 3. If you delete that ID 3 from the person table, the other data that is inserted in the orders table, including the person ID 3, will also be deleted. That is the meaning of on delete cascade. And on update cascade means if you make changes in the person ID 3, all those changes will be reflected in the orders table related to that person ID 3. Now we will see the check constraint. So here we have person age int, and now we can insert the constraint check. We will, the syntax is, we have to separate it with a comma. We'll go check, then circular brackets, and we will add a condition to the particular column that we want to uh, put. Then we will add a condition to a particular column. So let's take age. We'll take person age, and we will put the condition of the person age should be above 18. So this will be greater than 18. So this becomes a use of check constraint. We can also take it as less than 18, not equal to 18. So that's just changing the operator. It's less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. There is not equal to. Well, note that not equal to can be written in both forms. This is the first way to write not equal to. The other is this two angular brackets. This also means not equal to in MySQL. So basically this is the use of check constraint. The next is default constraint. So default sets a specific value for a column. So let's say we have given a column address, and we are a company that resides in India, and we haven't been international. So when taking application forms, we can just set the default value as India in the address or location, as you can say. So if we go here, if we create table info, we will add ID, we will add name, and we will add the country here, text. Now we can set default as India, as because it is text I will write it in inverted comma. So India, close. So now if someone while entering the information doesn't add the country, the default will be India, that is the country we have set will automatically be inputted in that table. So if we say we'll create the table, so now you can see that the table has been created. What happens is it doesn't work for the text data type, it only works for the varchar data type. That is the default constraint. That is it for this lecture. Thank you, and if you have any doubts, please add your comments. We will try to solve it as soon as possible. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. This is the fifth lecture of the DBMS course. In the last lecture, we learned the alter table statement and the most used constraints. In this lecture, I will be teaching you the update statement and the most common functions that are used in SQL. So we'll start by, first here we have to select the database. So use Imperium. Then we'll create a table. Let's take table customer, in which we will add customer ID. So we'll give CID. I will give primary key to the ID. Then we'll have customer name. We'll take contact number. I'll give the contact number's data type as numeric. Then we'll take address, or rather we'll take city. We'll have postal code. Then we'll take country. Now we will create this table. After creating the table, we will now insert some values in it. So we'll give insert into the table name, that is customer. We'll add the columns as customer ID, customer name, contact number. We have city, postal code, and country. Then values, and now we will insert our data. So first we'll take customer ID as 101. Then we'll take name as, let's take ABC. Then we have contact number, so we'll give a random contact number. After this we'll add a city, so let's take Berlin. And then we have postal code, so we'll take a random postal code. And now we'll add the country. So if we execute this query now, we will only get one input. So let's just keep adding more inputs in the same format. We'll take the second entry. Go. We'll take contact number as, let's say, 456 789 03. Now we will take the city as Mexico. TF. Postal code as random. And now the country, Mexico. We'll add one more input and then we'll see. This is the third input. Give 103. After that, contact number, so I'll give 678 905. And then we'll take the city, London. After this we have postal code. Let's give 1523. And country, United Kingdom. Now I'll execute this query and then we'll see how to make changes in the inserted data using the update statement. It is showing error somewhere here in Germany. We haven't given the colon inverted comma. So now the query is executed. We will just select it. Select start from custom. So as you can see, there are 3 rows with the entries, and now we will see like how to select rather change the inputs in the data. So we, in the previous lecture, we made changes in the table. In this lecture we will make changes in the data using the update statement. So let's use update customer, that is the table name, and then set contact number equals we give a random contact number 2 comma city where customer or CID equals 101. So now this will update the data, that is the contact number and the city where the CID is 101. After running this, so it was showing error because we exceeded the number. Numeric only allows 10 integers or 10 numbers, so we exceeded that, that's why it gave error. So now after this running, now it has executed the query. Now again we will select from the table, that is retrieve the data. Now you can see the contact number and the city has been changed. First it was Berlin and the contact number was this 1919. Now it is 7654 and then city is Frankfurt. So this was in the MySQL you can like even arrange uh, the table in order. If you just click on the uh, columns, that is CID, the CNAME, the contact number, the city, the postal code, it will give ascending and descending both. So now you can see it is in ascending order, the CID. After I click it again, it will be in descending order. This is one of the features of the MySQL. So moving on, we can even change multiple records using update like we did now. If you want to change one thing, you can just do that. So like I can also do update customer set postal code equals where, let's take country equals Mexico. Note that when you are using the numeric or the integer, you don't need to give the inverted comma. Even if you do, it will work. So that's the plus point. It has executed. So now it has been executed. So now we will select it from the custom table and we will see if the changes have been made. As you can see, the postal code has changed because it is an integer value, it is only showing the 0. If I had given 1000, then it would have shown the 4 number postal code. And this was the update query or the update statement. Now we will learn about the most common or most used functions. So before the functions, now we will learn about the delete statement. So yesterday we saw that with alter table we could delete columns from the table. Today with the delete statement we will delete the data row from the inserted values. So now it has syntax as delete from table name, that is customer, where, and condition. So I want to, let's say I want to delete the 102 entry, that is the ID of 102. So I can write delete from customer where CID equals 102. After selecting this, you can see the query has been executed. Then I'll run this. You can see the query or the data that was inserted with the ID 102 has been deleted. The whole rows has been deleted. So it's not like we can just delete the postal code or the uh, ID. For that we have the update query. Here for delete, it deletes the whole row in itself. This is the basic delete query. You can also give different conditions, so that depends upon you, like where the postal code is XYZ, or if you have taken the table students or sales. So let's say you have taken the table sales and you give a condition delete from customer or delete from the sales orders where the price is less than 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh. Such conditions you can give different conditions. Now we will look into the most used or the most common functions or clauses. First is limit clause. So what limit clause does is, if now that we have two entries in a table, I will add more two entries so I can explain it to you in a better way. So I'll just make changes here. So now after running it, we'll select the table. As you can see, we have now multiple inputs. So now I can show you the limit clause. So limit works is, it gives you, or you can set a limit of inputs or of limit of data lines or data rows you want to view. So basically it works like you select or and column name or names. So that can be uh, so you use it. So the syntax for this is, select star, or you can give different is select CID or select CNAME. Star is for every column. So select star from customer, that is the table name, and you'll add limit. Let's give 4. So now just look at the output. As you can see, it is giving or displaying the first 4 table rows. So this is the basic use of limit. You can also use like select star from customer, give a where condition. So let's add where country equals Germany, and limit 4. Now because we have only one input or two inputs of Germany, it will give both the inputs. As you can see, it will give both the inputs. But let's assume if we had 5 inputs of Germany, it will show you the first 4 inputs only. So that is how the limit clause works. A similar clause that is used with limit is offset, that is OFF SET. And what offset does, it skips the number of elements from the like starting order. So if I put offset 2 and limit is 3, so now what will happen is this query will skip the first two data rows and then show the next three data rows. As you can see, the first two rows, that is 101 and 102, was skipped because of the offset clause, and limit 3 is giving 103, 105, and 107 data. That is the remaining or the next three rows or after the 101 and 102 data rows. This is the use of limit and offset. Next we have minimum and maximum. So by the name itself, you can guess minimum is used to take the minimum or the smallest value from a column, and the maximum is used to take the biggest value or the largest value. So the syntax is select minimum, then we can give column names such as we haven't given here much, but we can give id. So we'll give minimum cid, that is because it is an integer. As you, you can give as smallest number or as smallest integer. You don't need to give it, it's not mandatory. Just select minimum cid from customer. After executing this, we will get the minimum cid. It's the exact opposite with maximum. You will get the largest number. It's max cid from customer. Here you can see it is giving the maximum cid of 107. Now we will take the sum, count, and average functions. So what count does is it counts the number of elements or number of data that have been inserted for a given condition. So for example, you can get select count, then postal id or postal code from customer. As you can see, it is giving the count 5 because we have 5 inputs in the table, and it is giving the postal codes for the uh, those five data rows. Now if we add the where clause, where country equals Germany, you can see the count is 2 because there are only two inputs with the country Germany. Next we have the average, so it's easy. Select avg of cid. I'll take because we haven't taken price as a such, so cid from customer. So the average is 103.6. We can also add where clause here, so we'll take where cid is greater than, we'll take 102, so that becomes 103, 105, and 107. So now we see the average of those numbers. As you can see, now the average has changed. The average is 105. Next we have the sum example or the sum clause. Next we have sum clause. We have select sum, we have postal code from customers. So customer. So now you can see the sum of the postal codes of all the 5 entries. If we add a condition where, let's say, the country equals Mexico, the sum changes. So you can see this is the sum for the postal code of the country Mexico only. So we have one Mexico here, and that's the exact number because it's the only entry. For the sum clause example, now we have like operator. Well, like operator and the wildcard operators like go hand in hand, so I will take them in the next lecture. In that I will give you a preview. So what like operator does is you can search numbers or select numbers which are starting from a particular letter, sorry, a particular number, or you can search variables or names starting from a particular letter, ending from a letter, or you want words which have OR between them, or you have AS in between the words, you want those words. All that can be possible with the like operator, and the extension of like operator is the wildcards. So I will take them in the next lecture. Thank you. If you have any queries or any doubts, please type them in the comments. We will try to solve them as soon as possible. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. So this is the sixth lecture of the DBMS course. So today we will learn the where clause, the and, or, and not. Those are the logical operators in the where clause, and the order by statement with the where clause. So till these five lectures, most of you will have the basic idea of what is where. So it's like when we put a condition while we retrieve data from the group. So I will show you the example. So first step, always you have to select a database to use. So let's use Imperium. Then here we can see the tables that are in the Imperium. So I can see the customers table is there. So I will use this table only. So first I will select star from customer. So as we know, this star indicates that we will retrieve all the information that is present in the table. So we have customer ID, customer name, contact number, city, postal code, and country. So now in this, the where clause can be used as select star from where. Now let's take CNAME, that is customer name. CNAME equals, because the CNAME is in string, as you can see here near the cursor, we have given the format text or varchar. So basically it is a string. We have to give inverted commas. Now where CNAME is, let's say YYC, semicolon, then we'll run the query, and now you can see it is showing the information of the customer YYC. Now this is using the star condition. We can also write select country from customer where CNAME equals when we had was ABC. So as you can see, the country that the customer ABC is from is Germany. So you cannot like give anything instead of the star. It's like for example, the main headings or the titles that we gave to the table, that is customer ID, customer name, contact number, city. Basically, the attributes of the table is only like usable in this form. So we can write select CID, select city, or select postal code, etc. Now this is like we use CNAME. We can also use select, let's say select city from customer where country equals Germany. Now you can see, because there are two customers that are from the country Germany, we have two cities. So if we just remove the city and insert star, that is the entire information, we can see the information of the customers who are from Germany. This is the basic use of where condition. So like the where statement is basically adding conditions while retrieving the data from a table. So now we will see the and, or, and not logic operators. So as we know that there are two inputs with the country Germany. So if we check, that is this. So now you can see that there are, in countries bracket, there are two entries, means two customers that are from the country Germany. So what if I had to pick the country Germany and I had to pick the city or the postal code? So the query would be select star from customer where country equals Germany. So if I stop my query at this point, it will give both the outputs. So like CID 101 and 102, because they are both from Germany. But if I add and city equals Berlin, so now you can see it's showing the output where the country is Germany, but it had also added another condition, that is the city, which is Berlin. So it will give the output where the city is Berlin and the country is Germany. So and is used to add the conditions in the basic, is what you can say. Now we will see the OR condition or the OR logic. So we will write select star from customer where we'll take country equals Germany, or we will take, yeah, it's okay, Germany, or country equals Mexico. Now you can see it has given me the output for the countries with Germany and Mexico. So what the AND condition does it, like both the conditions should be true, so we will get the output. In the logical language or the digital language, there is zeros and one, where one is true and zero is false. So what AND does is, if both conditions are true, then only it is true. Otherwise, it is false. So this means if my first condition is correct and the second condition also satisfies the first condition, like the statement, so it will give the output. Means when I run this, we are getting this country or the output where the country is Germany as well as the city is Berlin. So both conditions need to be true, so it will give me the output. Whereas in OR, when I run it, you can see either of the conditions can be true and it will run. So if there is only Germany, it will show the Germany country. If there is a entry with the country Mexico, it will show the that entry also. If I put a random country, let's say if I put uh, XYZ, which is like not a country, we have not inputted such as country, so it will only show Germany. So it's not throwing an error because we have used OR. It is saying that the provided things in the condition, from those I have the Germany country in my database, so I will show them. I don't have the XYZ, so I would like just drop it. I will not show them because of the OR condition. If I put AND condition, then it will throw error because it will search for that entry and it will say, even if I have the country Germany, I also want the country XYZ. So the and the OR has that difference. Now we have the not logic. So select star from customer where is where not country and Germany. Hence we can say select star from customer where not and condition. We will run it and you can see the countries that had Germany in it are not visible. It is showing the countries that are not Germany or the entries that are not from the country Germany. That is the basic use of the not logic. Like remember that you can and like use the and or operator multiple times. Like I can and or add one more condition in and. I can add one more condition in or. Like I can add multiple conditions. So like I can write where country equals Germany or country equals this or CNAME equals this, or I can do it multiple times. So there is no limit to the use of the word and or the word or when using in the uh, like retrieving condition in the where clause. So it's not limited to only two uses or three uses. You can use it multiple times. So that is the basic and or and not logic. Now we will look at the order by statement, which is used for the retrieving data only, but in the like you can select it in ascending order or descending order. We will select star from customer and we will add condition, that is order by. You can give column name such as CID or CNAME or contact number. I will give CID and then you will give the ascending or descending. So for ascending it is ASC. So as you can see, the CID is in the ascending order. This is 101, 102, 103. For the same, for descending, you will just say DESC. Now it is in descending orders 107, 105. You can also do it for text or strings also. It is not limited to integers and float only. So if I give CNAME and in descending order, it will also run. As you can see, it has given in the descending order as y is the like the lastest like element or the letter in the alphabet, it has given Y first, and as the A is the first, so A is at the bottom because it is in descending order. If you do it ascending, it will be reversed. So this is the basic where statement, the logic of and, or, and not, and the order by statement. Additional point is, if you are not using the not logic, you can just remove the not logic. Instead of that, you can make changes in the operators, that is equal to, greater than, less than. So I told you last time that we have not operator for as this, or we can also write not operator as exclamation and equal to. So if you're not using the not logic, or if you forget how to use the not logic or the syntax of the not logic, you can just change the operator from equal to not equal to. It will give you the same output. We will check it one time, and as you can see, it is giving the same output as the not logics. So this was the plus point. It's an alternative. That is it for the today's lecture. If you have any queries, please comment them. We will try to solve them as soon as possible, and thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. This is the 7th lecture of the DBMS course. In today's lecture, we will be learning the like and wildcard operators, the in and between statement, and the aliases statement. So firstly, we will learn the like operator. For that, I have taken a sample table and have inserted some values in it. First, I will select the database. It is executed, and I have run this execution of the table and insertion already. So I will directly show you the table. This is the table. We have the agent code, agent name, working area, commission, and phone number as the attributes of the table. We have 12 entries. Now we will see what is like operator. So firstly, like is an operator which is used in where clause to search for a specified pattern in a column. So for example, if I wanted the names of the agent starting with the letter S, I can use the like operator in the where condition to get the table for that, specifically for that. So that is the use of the like operator. In it, we have multiple options. I will go through them one by one. So for the first option is to get an answer or to get a data from the table starting with a specific letter. So the syntax for that is select star from, then table name. So we have agents as a table. Then we have the where clause. So where we will use the agent name because it has variation, agent name, and then we will use the like operator. So the keyword is like. Then we will give the condition or the syntax of the like operate like operator. It is inverted comma, and then we have the use of percent sign, so which is this sign. So this is called the wildcard. I will get to that later. Now in like operator, we want the names of the agent starting with the letter S. So I will write S star, or I will write S percentage, with which we will get the required data. So as you can see, we have the agents which have the letter S as their starting of the name. Similarly, we can also use it as A. So we will get the data of the agents which have names starting from the letter A, which is Alex, Anderson, Alfred. Next, we have the operation in which we want the agent names which are ending with a specific letter. For that is similar. It is select star from table name, that is agents, where clause, then agent name, like, and the difference here would be, instead of writing the letter before percent, we will write it after the percentage sign. So we'll write like %a. First we wrote a percent, now we have %a for the names of the agent which are ending with the letter A. So now we get Lucida, which is an agent with who has the name ending with an A. So this is the second operation of the like operator. Then the third is, it is the operation where we can search for an element which is in the name in between, and it can have any position. So like select star from agents where agent name like, and let's take, we want C in the middle of the name and at any position. So we will write percent before C and after C. So we will sandwich it and then we will execute the query. As you can see, the agents which have the letter C in between their name. So you can see the MECDEN, the C is on the second position, and in Lucida, the C is in third position. So the position doesn't matter. It just detects that if the C is in between the name, then it will select that data and retrieve it for us. Now we have the fourth condition, the fourth way in which we can use the like operator is we can select the second letter of the name. So basically, we can select the second letter of an agent name should be A or should be C or should be I. So we want those agents. So we can use this syntax, that is select star from agents, then where clause, agent name, like operator, and then we have underscore, the letter, and then percent. So underscore means the first position of that word or the name of the agent or anything. So it will skip the first letter. Then we want to search the second letter. I want the second letter to be B, and then I will give star. This means I want the names of the agents who have the letter B in their name in the second position. After that, I will execute the query, and because no agent has the letter B in the second position, it won't show anything. So let's try another letter. I'll take U, and you can see we have three entries in which agent names have U in the second position of the name. So this is how you can find the name of anything with the letter in the second position. Similarly, we have the same thing for the second last position. So that is like instead of last position, which is star A, we have it for second last position. We can go select star from agents where agent name like then star U, or let's take A and then underscore. So which means is the second last position. We want A in the name. So now I'll select and run this query. So you can see we have Suberao, Ivan, Ramsundar, and other two, that is Santa Kumar and Ravi Kumar or Santa Kumar. So we have A in the second last position. So this was the way to get the second last position letter, or the select the names of the people with a particular letter in the second last position. The next statement has the query which will select all agent names with a starting letter that is given by the user or the admin, and has 3 characters in length or n characters in length. So which can be specified by you only. So first we will take for 3 characters, that is select star from agents where agent name like, we have the starting letter, I want to take S, then I will give underscore underscore, which means there are the first position of the letter should be S, Then the next two positions define that there should at least be 3 characters in length of that name. And now I will add the wildcard and execute the query. As you can see, we have the agents who have at least 3 characters in length. That means 3 or more. So we have the characters. So we have the agent names Subarao and Santakumar. And the next is we can select the name from the agent names or another, like example customer names, starting with a specified letter and ending with a specified letter. So which has the query or the syntax as select star from agents where agent name like, and then we have the starting letter as, let's take L, and then we will give the percent operator, and then we'll give I as the ending letter, or let's give A. So after executing this, we can see that there is only one agent who has the starting letter L and ending letter A. So these are the use of like operator. Now we will look at the wildcards. So what are wildcards? Wildcards are basically these two symbols, that is the percent symbol and the underscore symbol. Wildcards are these two symbols which are used in the like operations only. So the theory for wildcards is similar as the like operator. Only the difference is in like operator we don't tell what is the percent and the underscore sign. So that is basically the wildcards. Coming up next is the in statement. So that is, in statement means it is a shorthand for multiple or conditions. So when in the last lecture I told you that you can use or logic for multiple times, that is select star from customer name, let's say, where customer name equals A or customer name equals B or customer name equals C. So in that we had to write it multiple times. In this, in operator is basically a shorthand method of that or logic. So we can write select star from agents where, then we will give the column name. So that is, we will take a working area, for example, working area, and then we will, instead of giving equal to and then specifying the area names, we will just go in, which is the keyword, and then we will put random value. So now you can see there is San Jose. I will write this and then semicolon, and I'll run the query. As you can see, from San Jose there is only one agent. Now what is the, like what is the meaning of the shorthand of or? So let's say I want to take London and New York also. So when I write London and New York, I don't have to write it 2 other times like in the or logic. I can just make it comma, and I can insert London, another comma, and I can take New York. So now you can see that there are like data or the which is retrieved from the database with the working area London, that is in two agents, and New York and San Jose. So this is the use of the in statement, can use which is the shorthand of the or logic. There is another way to use it. It is the not in statement. So it's the opposite of the in statement, in which we just add not in front of the in operator. So we have select star from agents where working area not in, and I will insert the same inputs so you can clearly see the difference. So now you see that leaving these countries or the areas, only the other inputs are displaying. So we don't have the San Jose in this, we don't have New York or London in the following table. So this is basically the in and not in operations, which are the shorthand methods of the OR logic. Now next is the between operator. The between operator selects values within a given range. So basically we can select the values which are between a range that we can decide. So let's take the example of selecting values which are between some range for the commission of the agent. So if we select the range as 0.10 and then 0.13, we will get the answers as Mukesh and then other agents if they have the commission in between that range. So we'll give select star from agents where commission and then we have the keyword between. We will give value 1, that is 0.10. We have the AND logic and then another value 0.13. So now all the agents having commission between these values will be displayed on the table. As you can see, the commissions 0.11, 0.13, 0.12, these are all in the range of 0.10 and 0.13. Note that the end values, that is the 0.10 and 0.13, are not excluded, so they also appear, that is 0.13 is not excluded, so it also takes the values that are on the endpoints of the given statement value. This was the between operator use. It is not that complex. Next we have aliases. So aliases are used to give a table or a column in a table a temporary name. So in this we can just like create a new name for a column in the given table when we are retrieving the data. So instead of agent name, I can change the name to name for a particular time when I'm retrieving the data. So the query goes for this is select. I have to change the name of the agent name to name. So I will give select agent name, then as, which is used for the aliases syntax, and then alias name. So like the other name we want to change this to. So I will give name from table, that is agents. As you can see, the agent name, the attribute agent name which we put in here, that is agent name, was changed to name because of the aliases statement. This is the basic use of the aliases statement. So you can see we have changed the name here. These were the topics that we have covered today. So if you have any doubts, write it in the comment. We will try to solve it as soon as possible. And thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. This is the 8th lecture of the DBMS course, and in today's lecture we will be learning joins, types of joins, and union. So firstly, we will select a database to use, and in that database we will create some tables. So I have created the tables customer and orders, and in those I have given 3 entries each. So first we'll see what the orders table look like, and now we can see there are 3 entries and there are 5 attributes in the table orders. Similarly, for customer, there are 6 attributes and 3 entries in the customer's table. So now first, what is a join? So join is used to connect tables, whether it be one table with another table or one table with itself. So there are 5 types of joins. Those are inner join, left join, right join, cross join, and self join. So we'll see what is an inner join. So as you can see, an inner join returns records that have matching values in both tables. So these are the Venn diagram representation of the inner join. So we have table 1, we have table 2, and the common part that is between the tables is represented in the inner join. We will see how it shows the output. This is the query for inner join. So in this query, we are selecting or retrieving order ID from orders table, customer name from customers table, and we have inner joined orders and customers where orders customer ID and customers customer ID should be equal. So after running it, we can see that there is only one entry that is equal in both. So it's only showing the first or the singular entry that is common in both the tables. Now next we have left join. As you can see, a left join is the table or is the join in which the entries of the table 1 and the common entries from table 1 and table 2 both are represented or retrieved from the database. So left join returns all records from the left table and the match records from the right table. We will see this query. Now we have all the names from the left table as well as the common name from the left table and the right table. See that you cannot see the order ID for the first and the third entry because they are not in the orders table. So they don't have an ID specifically. But the second entry that is common from the orders table as well as the customers table has both customer name and order ID. So next is right join. Well, right join is the opposite of the left join where we take all the entries from table 2 and the common entries between table 1 and table 2. So it returns all records from the right table and the match records from the left table. Now, as you can see, there are no names for the first and second entry because the order ID, that is the entries from the order table, are only present in the order table and not in the customer table. So the first 2 entries does not exist in the customers table, but the third entry, which is the common part in both customers table and orders table, has both customer name and order ID. Now we have cross join. Cross join is something that like gives every entry that is present in both the tables. So we have entries from table 1, we have entries from table 2, and we also have the common entries from both the tables. So we will see, we have this query. Now you can see it has given the same name multiple times because we have the entries from the left table. Those are 3 entries. We have entries from the right table orders. We have 3 entries, and the entries that are common, we have those entries. So that's why the names have been repeated or the entries have been repeated. Now next we have self join. So here self join is not given because self join acts on a single table only. So we are connecting customers table with customer table itself. So that is how this self join works. In this, we have just given another name for the customers table attribute, that is a dot customer name as customer name 1, which is aliasing. We learned that in the last lecture. And next is b dot customer name as customer name 2. Again, then a dot city is just the output we want. So you can see in this table we have the customer name, that is we have given a point customer and b point customer name, and we have given a point city. So it's the same table, but we are writing it two times in different ways. So now we will run this query, and here we have used the order by clause, which basically shows the order. We also have learned that. So now you can see we have the customer 1, customer name 2, and then city. Why these are showing? Because we have written that we want the cities from a dot city and b dot city to be same, so the similar cities data should be presented or outputted from the table. Now for union, I have created another the table supplier. I have inserted three values in it, or three entries. Now we will see union. So what does union do? So basically, union is used to represent the values of multiple tables together. So we have the customers table and suppliers table, and we have ordered by the city. Now we will see the output, and you can see there are five outputs or five cities that are in mixed with customers and suppliers, which means both table cities we have taken here. And you can see that there are only five cities, but in the customers table there are three entries, in the suppliers table there are three entries. It is giving five entries because in the customers table there are two entries with the city Mexico DF. So because of that, what the union operator does is it only gives the default values. It does not duplicate it does not give the values that are duplicated or are present two times in the table. For that, we can use union all instead of union. So you will see the difference is that now we have six cities. So you can see that Mexico DF was there two times in the customers table, but because we used union, it was only showing us one time. And because of union all, we can see all the repeated cities also. Now we have union with where clause. So now we can select the cities, giving a condition that the cities should be from Germany. As you can see, we only have Berlin from Germany. So that is the union with where clause. That is it for today's lecture. If you have any doubts, you can comment them. We will try to solve them as soon as possible. And thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. This is the ninth lecture of the DBMS course, and in this lecture we will be studying the group by statement, the having statement, the exist statement which is used with where clause, and the any all statement which is also used with the where clause. So firstly, I have created a database. It's named practice. Just run it. So remember that every time you open the Workbench, you have to run the specific database that you are performing the queries in. So if I just went in this SQL file number 7, I would have to run this database because these tables that I have created are in the database Garvit, whereas these tables are created in the database practice. So remember to do that to mitigate any errors. Now there is group by. So what is group by and why is it used? So group by is a statement that groups rows that have the same values into summary rows. Like let's say find the number of customers in each country. So if you can see that there is this Germany, this Mexico, Sweden. If there are multiple customers, if there are multiple inputs of the same country, it will just put them together and show their count. So like let's say if I print count and country, it will show count as the number of times the country has been like used in the insert, and it will just tell which country and how many counts it has been repeated for different customers or let's say orders, etc. So this is the table. This is customers table. I have put auto increment. That's why there is no numbers here. The first should be like 1, 2, 3, or like anything you want. Because I have put auto increment, there is not that input of the integers showing there. Now I'll just run this code. This is group by country. So we have select count of customer ID, that is count the customer ID and comma country from customers to where group by country. So it will group by the country. If you put group by customer, it can also do that. Let's we, it is used in orders table, like orders and supplier table, where supplier is common for multiple other people. So like let's say if we take Zomato, so Zomato is a supplier, and we the users are different like people who are ordering food from the same supplier. So it can also use that like supplier count, or it can use how many times a same supplier has been used by different users. So it's not just for countries. Group by is used for many different tasks. So now if we run this code, we can see that the customer count for Germany, it is only one. So there is only one customer from Germany. For Mexico, there is two. UK is one and Sweden is one. As you can see here, Mexico has come once and here it has come again. And for other three inputs, it is only once. So that's why they are 1 1 and Mexico is 2. So now here it's the same query, just I have ordered it like order by count of customer ID, and DESC stands for descending. So we should get this output. So you can see descending by count. That's why count to descending means highest to lowest. So that's why 2 then 1 1 1. If you put ascending there, it would be it's the same. Like Mexico should come at the last and the three inputs would go up. So like if I just put ASC here, it's ASC, and if I run this, you can see that Mexico is the bottom because of the count of the customers. So that is lowest from lowest to highest. Next is the having clause or the having statement. So what having does is having clause was added to SQL because the where keyword cannot be used with aggregate functions. So what are aggregate functions? We have done it. It's the average, sum, etc. Those we have done it in the previous lectures, the aggregate functions. And one like very important notice or note for having clause is that having cannot be used without group. So if you are not using the group by statement, you cannot use the having statement as well. It will throw an error. So for that, we always require the group by clause while using the having statement. So if I run this query, so it has like I'll read the query, that is select count customer ID comma country. So we are like displaying the customer count and country from customers table, and group by country same as this, and having count customer ID is greater than 5. So we want an ID that is greater than 5. It will only show for the customers ID that are greater than 5. So less than, here we only have 1 and 2. So I guess it should not show any country. As you can see, it is not showing any country. Only if I like add values in it. Let's just add, let's say we add the Mexico's value twice. I just copy this. I'll go is paste, and then so now I have inserted three values or three inputs in the same table with the country Mexico. I will do it once again because it is only 5 times and we are asking for greater than 5. So I'll run it again. So now we'll just see how many inputs are there in the table. For that we'll write select star from customers to. Now we'll see the number of inputs. As you can see this is the auto increment that I'm talking about. So 1 2 3 till 11, so there are 11 inputs, and if you count that, Mexico is come a lot of times. So now if we check, it should show us Mexico's input because it is, the count is greater than 5. So let's run this query. If I run it, you can see that country is Mexico and the count has come 8 times. That means the country Mexico has been repeating 8 times. That only if we just do it less than 5, it should show us the Germany, Sweden and UK. So because they are less than 5, it is showing that count. That is how the having works. Similar to, it is similar like where clause, just that having is used with group by and where is not that compatible with the group by statement, so that's why. And now I have just added the order by clause in this. So this won't like work this time if we have to let it work, because we have only one country that is exceeding the limit 5, so it will only show this. I guess let's make changes. We'll do just Germany for each one. First it was only one time. Now if I run this again, now the Germany country has been repeated 4 times. If I run it again, so 4 plus 3, again 7 times. To check that, I can run this. So we can see the country Germany has been added. And if I check now, now we can see that Germany is there 10 times and Mexico is 8 times. I think it lagged for a bit. That is like, did not like see the input, it did not calculate it. That's why it showed error first. But now you can see that the German is there 10 times and Mexico is 8 times. This is how the descending, and if you put ASC in ascending, so Mexico would be top and then Germany would be below Mexico. So this was group by and having with order by. So now we will go to the next, that is the any clause or all clause, and then exists clause. So I have, like as I said, when you change the file, you have to rerun the database so that you don't mix up the customers or the tables that you have created. Because if I run this table, that if I run the create table products and if I run select query here, so it won't work, because in the practice database there is no the products table, like the one with these inputs. So this product table has a different input, and the tables, that product table present in this one, this products table is different. That's why you have to change your database when you select a new file. Now I have run this database, and then next is any and all. So any and all are the like small tags, you can say. What they do is the any all operator allows you to perform a comparison between a single column and a range of like a single column value and a range of other values. So like you can see that here in this query you are comparing the product ID from the table products with multiple product IDs from the table order details. So what this query is like saying is we are like displaying the product name from the tables product where the product ID of the products table is equal to the any operator. And what the any operator does is it compares like in the any operator, this is the subquery now, this, so that select product ID from the orders detail, like order details where quantity is 10. So there is like multiple conditions here. Firstly, the condition is the quantity where we are selecting the product ID from should be equal to 10. And then the second condition is this, like the any operator, this is the second condition where product ID should be equal to any product ID that is from the table orders order details where quantity is equal to 10. So we should get an output which has the same product ID which is equal to the which is equal to the product ID from the order details. So let's say that this product ID, I'll just cut it. Let's say its ID is 3. The 3 is the value. So this value should be equal to this value. So like there are multiple condition in this statement. So you should like actually focus here because these type of queries really can make like hectic for people who are going for backend and these database queries. So what it means is firstly these IDs should match. Okay, what I'll just break it down for you. Let's say this is a separate query, so that is select product ID from this. So what this query does is it selects all the product IDs that have the quantity 10. Okay, that we got to the side. So what it says is this one says that all the product IDs that have the quantity equals to 10. This is what this query does. And then what this query will do is it will take all these product IDs, the IDs that are coming from this table or this query, and it will check with this product ID. So that let's say if this product ID's value is 5, so let's in bracket I'll say that it is 5. Okay, the value of this ID is 5. So in all the IDs that these have given, if I just run it, it won't run. It's because it is a cut down query. Yep. So let's assume that the answer we will get would be ID number the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 1 or 4, then 5, 8 and 10. So these are the ID numbers that we will receive from the product ID, this query from the order details. So these all IDs have the quantity 10. Now we know that the product ID, the value of the product ID from the products table is 5. So we will compare that, is 5 equal to 1. So we have the equal to sign and any, it compares. So is 5 equal to 1? No. So it is gone. That is not correct. Is 5 equal to 4? No. Is 5 equal to 5? Yes. Then it will print that single value, that this ID is equal to 5, this ID is also equal to 5. So now I will print it. That is how the any and the or operator also works. They are very similar. So now I will just run this query. Okay, it is showing error because I think the tables. Yes, it is showing error because of this. This is like not the correct syntax. I was just telling you that let's assume the value. So I'll just remove this. And now if we run, we get the answer. So these are the product IDs that, or product name we have gotten. I will again tell you because it is quite complicated and people do like miss it and mismatch it is better word for it. So the answer is getting aniseed syrup. We can see this is the syrup and we can check what is the first product ID. So we'll take product ID, it is 3, that is from the table products, and order table. In the order table, product ID is here. You can see the product ID is 3. So product ID is 3 and the quantity is 10. That's why we are getting the aniseed syrup. Also, here we are getting chef Anton's seasoning, and there is the product ID 4. And if we go down, sorry, it's the fifth one, the chef Anton's gumbo mix. So it's the ID 5, and if you go down, we can see we have product ID 5. You can check it here. First, second, third is the product ID and fourth is quantity. So if we see, third is product ID, that is 5, which also matches the product ID from the tables products, and the quantity is 10. So because both the conditions are true, we are getting these outputs. So these are called nested queries. You can use nested queries with where itself, like select star from students table where marks equal to, then select star from select marks from teachers table where subject equals to, then select subject from subject table, etc, etc. So nested queries are the one of the complicated part of the DBMS. Then this was the any query. Then all is the same. Any and all operators both are similar. Like if I run this, it will show the same output. So any and all are similar. Next we have exists. So this is one table, that suppliers table. It's have some values that have inserted. And now this is easy to understand because we are like displaying the supplier name from suppliers table where exists means where it is present. That select product name from products. This is the products table. We are taking product name from products where now this means now the first letter is the products. This means the table dot supplier ID means the column name. So note this is the table name dot this is the column name. Similarly, this is the table name and after the period or dot this is the column name. So what we are basically checking is we want the product name from products where the supplier ID from the products table is equal to the supplier ID from the suppliers table. And so we have given an additional condition that is the price should be less than 20. So now I will run this query. We can see you have only one supplier, that is like it's not because like only one supplier has price less than 20, but it is the only supplier which has the same ID in both the tables. Like it has the same ID in products table and the suppliers table. So that is why it was it. And you can say like where is the supplier ID in this table? It's because I have used auto increment for the supplier ID. That's why you cannot see it. So basically, it means that exotic liquid is 1, New Orleans is 2, Grand Macale is 3. So that like that, it's number wise. So that's why. Similarly, this is the query. We have just changed this part. Instead of the less than operator, we have used equal to. And if we run, you can see New Orleans is the similar because it has quantity equal to 2 and the ID match in both the table. This was the exist clause or the exist statement. I hope you have understood this. Like I have tried my best to tell you or to explain you the query itself, not the operators. Like any operator, they are easier to understand, but the queries they are used in are mostly like on the difficult side because many people struggle with nested queries. These nested queries like using select and where, like condition in condition in condition, that type of people uh, are struggling with. That's why I tried my best. I took like I think I took 6 to 7 minutes to explain this single query only, but I thought it was important because leaving it just like that I did not feel it right. So that was it for today. So if you have any doubt regarding to the previous lectures or this lectures, you can just comment and we will reply as soon as possible. If you have any inputs or if you have any suggestions, you can also type that in comments. We will give them a look, and if we actually like them or we think that yes we can improve this, we will also implement them. So thank you, and this was it for today's lecture. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. This is the 10th lecture of the DBMS course, and in today's lecture we will be learning the insert select query, the case function, the null functions, and the procedure. So first I have this database practice. I will now select the database. I will run this query to create the table customers. Then I will insert these values in the table. Now we have another table, suppliers. I will run this also. And I will insert the values in the table suppliers. So now, firstly, we have the insert into select function or the insert into select query. So what this does is this statement or this function copies the data from one table into another table, so another existing table. In this is MySQL. In the SQL there is the select into function. What select into function is does that it copies the data from a table to a new table, so it creates a new table. But in MySQL there is no select into function. That's why there is directly insert into select function. So you can see the query that insert into customers, then the standard, what are the elements or the column names of the table. We have customer name, city and country. Then select supplier name, city, country from suppliers. So we are taking these three entities or these three columns from the suppliers table and inserting them into the customers table. So you can see that the supplier name will go into the customer names column, the city name will go into the city names column, and the country name in the country names column. So first, if you like check the select start from customer, that is the entries that are available in the customers table. There are only 5 entries. You can see them that there is Alfred, then Anna, then Antonio, etc. Now, if I run this query, these entries from the suppliers table should go into the customers table, and only these three elements should go in there. That is the name, city, and country. The etc. The address or the contact name or the postal code that won't be copied. So if I run this and then again I run the select query, and you can see we have exotic liquids from here. We have New Orleans. We have Grandma Kelly's Homestead. So you can see that only the customer name, the city, and the country has been updated in this customers table with the help of this query. You will say like, what about the customer ID? It is auto increment. So you can see that in the customers table, the customer ID I have kept it auto increment. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to insert it, like you don't have to write it while typing the insert into query. So you can see that we only mentioned these three columns. So that's why the contact name, address, and postal code are showing null. Similarly, we have then now we have the same query, but we have included all the columns, that is customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country. Now if we just select it, run, and then again select country, we can see now there are new, these are the from the 13, these are the new inputs, that is the exotic liquid, we have contact name, then address, then city, then postal code, then country. First we had only the three inputs because we stated that in the query. You stated here like select. When you say select, it means you only select these columns that are stated here. So we only selected three columns. In this we selected all the columns. That is it. If you wonder if like this part of the code like does any effects or does it affect the code in any way, it does not. It just shows like what are the column names are in the tables customer. That is it. That's nothing. Like it does not affect it in any way. If you remove it, it won't affect the code. Then this has a condition. This last query for insert into select query has condition that we are again taking the three columns only, the supplier name, city, and country from suppliers, where the country is USA. So we have added a condition here that we don't want all the inputs, we only want the ones that have the country USA. So after running it and then checking the customers table again, we can see only the USA ones have been added. Those are the two USA parts, that is New Orleans and Grandma Kelly's home state. Now next is case. The case function or the case query, you can say that it is used like a switch case. Like you can relate it to the C plus other languages. We have switch case in that. So in C, what we do is we just like take an firstly we derive a variable. Let's say like we take character ch, and then we give like inputs print this or enter this scanf, all that, and then we go switch brackets, circular brackets ch, and then curly brackets to start it, and then we just type case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, all that. So whatever the cases are, this is like we do in C language, but in this database MySQL, it has another syntax. Basically what it does is it has multiple conditions. So like it's like an or statement, multiple or statement. So when you select like select star from customers where this or this or this, instead of typing the or again and again, you can just use the case function. So what it does is it goes, I have taken this table, then this database again. Now we have order details table, and I have multiple inputs in it. So here you can see the query is select order id, quantity, then case. So what case function does is it is like a efficient way of using the or operator. So it will first check if quantity, the when means if quantity is greater than 30, then you should print this output. If quantity is equal to 30, then you should print this output. So you can write this query similarly like select order id, quantity, then where quantity is greater than 30, or quantity is equal to 30, or quantity is less than 30. So instead of writing the or operator, it just like elongates the query and it makes it confusing. So if you have any error in between, it is hard to find. But in the case function, you have in single line, each query has a single line. So we can just use the case function, and then the end as is important, like it is the part of the syntax. So end as, what end as does is this function, when we write then and give any output, we have to give a column name to it, because it will create a new column for that like answer that you have stated here or fixed here for a particular outcome to be entered in. So for that we are creating a call quantity text as a new column in the orders table only. So if I do select order id, quantity, case, so first case is when quantity is greater than 30, you should give the quantity is greater than 30. If it is equal to 30, then quantity is 30. Else, the else statement is the quantity is under 30. So like if these don't, if these two conditions don't work or they are not applicable, that means if the quantity is not greater than 30 or equal to 30, the two conditions have been null and void. And else is like the default function from the switch. Again, in the C language, there is this case 1, case 2, and then at the last there is default function. In default, you can just write not a valid answer, not a valid option, or etc. Like that. In this, we have the else. You can also write other questions, like it's not only used for the greater than less than functions, it is also used for another things. So like let's say if I consider like select star from this, I use the like operator, and I printed like a star. So I want a name starting from a or ending from a, and then I put conditions here like when like star a print this, the name starts from a. If a star name starts ends with a or starts with a, like that. Case function has many uses. Now I'll just run this, and you can see for each order id and quantity, these two tables, there is another new column that is created, like we created it here in the end as. So quantity text, we get the answer, like these answers for the each entry. So if it's less than 20, the quantity answer is 30. If it's greater than 30, the quantity is greater than 30. And if it's 30, then the quantity is equal to 30. So that was the case operator, the case function. Now we have the null function. So what is a null function? Like null functions are those, like when I showed you here prior here, so you can see these are the null inputs. It is used for like these types of inputs. The null function is used for these types of inputs. So now if I go here, just run the database query, then now I have already created these tables. So now I can just do there are four functions. Firstly, you can see if null, collects, is null, and nvl. So these are the functions. I have taken all of the functions, like these consist of SQL functions also, because in the MySQL functions there is only if null and collect. So for MySQL there are only these two functions. These two are additional ones for the SQL prompt. So now if I and they work very similarly. So what we have done is I have taken a table, I have inserted three values, I have put one units order null in it, and what this query says is it wants product name and unit price into stock, that is unit stock. And if the units order is null, then what it will do is it will select units order, that is the value, plus 0. So comma means plus, it will take plus 0. So when it is not null, what the answer would be, product name unit price into unit stock, that is, let's say for this entry we have first unit price is 10.45 or 10.45. It will be multiplied by the addition of units in stock and units on order, so that is 10.45 into 31. That will be the output. But when we go here, it cannot do that because there is no entry in this box. The null means there is no entry. So what it will do is, that is unit price is 32.56, will multiply with the addition of units in stock and units on order. So 23 plus null is not a thing. It cannot solve that operation because it is not a integer number, or it is not a mathematical number. That's why we did is if null, the units on order will be turned into 0. So instead of the null, in the operation, when the like database or the terminal is doing the operation, it will count the null as 0. So what the equation would become is 32.56 multiplied by 23 plus 0. Instead of null, it will become 0. So if we run the query, you can see that there is the output of the multiplication of what we have given here, that unit price into the addition of unit in stocks and units on order. That is the output. Similar is the coalesce is null and NVL, they will all give the same output. They will all give the same output. If you just see similar output, see in this. Okay, so you can see that the is null and NVL are not working because they are a part of SQL functions and not the MySQL functions. So you can just add a note here that they are part of SQL functions and not MySQL functions. Now we have the stored procedure. So, like, what is the use of stored procedure and why was it made? Like, why does it have so much gravitas in the DBMS language? So, like, what a stored procedure is, like, it is a prepared SQL code. That means we have a code like this code. If we have create or insert or let's say select code, we can create a procedure and we can use that code again and again. You mean like you can say we can also use this code again and again. We just have to select and run it. That is true, but this is for the MySQL workbench. The people who do codes in terminals, they have it hectic. They can like go up and they can like, rerun the code, but stored procedure makes it easy because if you just check here, this is my database, this is the stored procedure tag. Now these are already created. If I just go here on the wrench icon, I can see the procedure. So this query that I have created, like it's a single line query, but what I can do is when I go here, I have to just write this like call and the procedure function name. So I just have to call and then get merit student. I can run it again and again. I just have to call this function. So it is like a procedure is like a function in another languages. That is the like most useful part of the DBMS. So if we have to like if we have to create a new procedure in SQL, what you have to do is go in the database you are using, just right click on the stored procedure, then create stored procedure. Here you will see that there is a difference in the definer or etc. Those are the limiters, delimiters. They put it automatically. What you have to do is just let's say I just take this same code, I'll copy it, print it here. I just have to give a name. They say new procedure, you can give another name. So instead of this, I will just give example and then I can just apply. You can see the button apply. I'll just click on apply. Now we will see that use practice, that means it is using the database practice. Then there is drop procedure if exist, means if there is a procedure that is named example, it will drop that and rewrite it and create this procedure that is new procedure. Then we have the delimiter. We are again using the database practice, that means calling it. Then we create the procedure begin. This is the code we have given, this code, then end, and the delimiter also ends, and we just give apply. It will finish the process and now we have a new procedure example. If it doesn't come right away, you can just go here and just type refresh all. Then it will refresh and show the new created procedure. And as you know, if you type on the wrench, you can see here, this is the use of procedure. I highly recommend using procedures in most of your codes. Like even if for insert query, you can use procedure. Even for create table you can use procedure, and mainly procedures are used in like the more like the vast data set. Let's say we have to enter a whole database of the employees. So we have the insert query, we have select query, we have conditions where we want like these department people should be listed under this thing, etc, etc. The procedure is one of the most important topics in SQL, so just remember that and note that. So I highly recommend practicing typing or practicing your procedure function. So you just take as many as example codes and just try to connect them with a procedure with yourself. So that was it for today's lecture. If you have any query, you can type that in the comment section. We will reply to them as soon as possible. And if you have any suggestions, we will also go through them. If we find them helpful, we will make those changes as well. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. So in today's lecture, we will be going through a project which is the student management system. So in the previous lectures, we have covered various clauses, query statements, and the important statements such as database, create database, that is use database. So I have this small project and I have divided it into sections so it would be much easier to understand. In the first section, we are creating the database and also using the database. So first we have the query, create database, student management, which will create a database named student management. And the use query means that we are currently using or storing the data or the queries that we are performing in that specific database. So use student management means all these queries will be stored in the student management database. Second is section 2, that is create table. So in that we have created three tables, that is the student table, the courses table, and the enrollments table. Now in student table, there is ID, that is student ID. There is name, email, and date of birth. First ID, we have given the data type int, and we have given auto increment, which means that it will give numbers in the incremental order, that is natural numbers in the incremental order as we insert the data into the students table. So we won't have to insert the IDs manually. And the primary key, as we all know, it is a combination of unique key and not null key. What primary key does is it does not allow same entries in a table. So if you put same IDs, it won't allow the second entry because it would be a copied ID or the ID would already be existing in the table. Because we are using the auto increment, there won't be a chance of that error. Next is name. I have used varchar, but there are also options. You can use text, that is text, text data type, or the char data type. There is not null, that means name cannot be nothing, like you cannot leave the name just blank, so that is the not null. Now there is unique and not null. Now you may ask that primary key is the combination of unique key and not null key, so why have we not just written primary key here also? So the thing is, in a table there can only be one primary key. That is the important point, that you can only assign primary key to one variable only, that is the we have assigned it to the id variable, so we cannot assign it to anything else because it won't be valid, it does not allow that. So that's why we have used unique and not null. separately so that emails are also unique and they are not like null means nothing. Null doesn't means zero. Null means nothing. So if you leave the email blank, it will not allow it. Same with date of birth. Date is the data type for any date that is in the format of year, month, and day. Next is the course table. In that we have courses ID, same auto increment primary key. Again, we have the course name, we have description. So you can see the text data type can be used, varchar can be used here as well. Now there is enrollments. Now that is ID, that is enrollment ID. So number of enrollment, that is first enrollment, second, third, like that. In that we'll have the student ID, we'll have course ID, we'll have grade. Again, you can see the third type that I mentioned, that is the character type. Foreign key, we are giving student ID foreign key because we have already an ID, student ID. And you can see that the naming or the naming is not same. Like here we are writing student ID, here we have just given ID, so it doesn't like give an error, it allows it, so that we are just taking the ID variable from the student table and we are stating it as student ID in the enrollments. We couldn't use ID for both because it would clash at both the elements would have the same name then. So that's why we have deferred them with student ID and course ID. We have given on delete cascade. We can also give on update cascade. It's a good practice. So what on delete cascade does is it when you have a parent and child table, and if you try to delete something from the parent table, it does not delete or update that specific query or statement because the reference is given into the child table. So first you have to delete the child table and then you have to delete the entry from the parent table, which is just hectic and it just increases your work. So if let's say you entered your name wrong while inserting and you wanted to delete that, but your name is again or your ID is used in the enrollments table, you would have to delete the entire enrollments table and then you would have to delete the students table mega entry. That is the entry from the students table. So that is just extra work. So that's why we use on delete cascade and on update cascade. Now the third section is insert sample data. Now we all know insert into, then table name, and then if you don't write this, it doesn't matter. It's like considered a good practice. If you don't write this, it doesn't matter. It's just for the understanding of the programmer. That's it. Then we have the insert for courses and insert for enrollments. So this is the now you can see that there are only two entries because for this the ID enrollment ID is auto incremented, so it will give one for here, 2 3 here. So and these IDs are for the this is the student ID for the first enrollment, course ID for the first enrollment, likely student ID for the second enrollment, and course ID for the second enrollment, just like that. Now the CRUD operations. Now you might say that what are CRUD operations? There was no mention of CRUD operations in the previous lectures. So CRUD is just a acronym for create, read, update and delete. So worry not, you already know these operations. C means create, R means read. For read it is the select star from, so don't get confused there. There is U, that is update, and D, that is delete. So now we have select star from, that is read. Then we will take S, this is name as, this is aliasing. So S dot name means S, we are giving student name as S dot name. So that is just aliasing, nothing else. The S dot name means that this is the table, you can say, and this is the variable, and we are giving S dot name as student name. Same with C dot name as course name. Now this is the table enrollments. E, student S on, this is the query. We know the joins, there are also 4 types of joins. If you recall, you can also type them in the comment section, so you can prove that you have seen the lectures, and it would make me happy. Next is adding a new student, that is giving a new entry. This is insert into student. Now this is student grade updation, so that is for different courses you can update students grade. And this is the where clause, that is where the student id is specific id and course id is specific id. You know this all the queries and clauses, so I believe it would be really easy for you to understand. Still, I'm just going step by step, so I'll just clear. If you have any doubt, it would just clear you. And at the end there is the delete statement, which will a, delete from student, that is delete an entry from student where id, that is the student id, is some specific number. So I'll just run the code. First we'll go create database. It is giving error because the database is already created. Then we'll go use. The use statement you have to use always. Like if you just close the compiler, like if you close the app, that is the MySQL Workbench, and you open it again, the database would be there, so you won't need to use this query again, that is the create database. But the use and the database name, that query you have to use, because it needs to render and it needs you to specify which database you are choosing now or using now. Because I can use the database Garvit, or I can use the customer demo database, so it wants, or it requires you to use this statement always. So I'll run it. Now it is, now the compiler knows that we are using the student database, student management database. I'll just create these tables. Okay, so now again you can see error because the tables are already created. If you want to check your tables or procedures functions, you can know that there are the tables. In this you can also see the columns in says what are the main inputs, that is the id, name, email, etc, etc. That is for, this is for the course, that is id, name, description. Indexes means what are the keys used, so primary keys used. There is foreign key. Have you used any triggers? No. Foreign keys? No. Foreign keys it would show you for the enrollments table. So in this you can see there would be foreign keys. You can see there are foreign keys. Just like that. So create table is already run. Now I believe that insert are also done. So I'll just go here and select this query, that is select. I'll run it. So yes, the inserts were also there, and this is only showing 2 elements because I guess there is this delete from students, that way. I'll just run the insert query again. It will input like extra characters, nothing else. This one. Now after this, let's say insert into this after the select query. Now it is showing duplicate because we already have it. Like if you do this and select it, there is already the email alice@example.com in use. That's why it is showing error. Like you can, I'll just drop the database and run it again as it is giving errors. So now after doing this, just use this, and now we can, like, it will work smoothly now because there were already entries. It was giving a bit, you know, problems. So now you can see all the queries are running smoothly. So I'll again create the tables. So these are the three tables we have created: students, courses, enrollments. Now the insert queries. So there are two examples in the insert, that is John and Jane. So in the students, these are the two students. Again, there is mathematics and science as the courses, and there are three entries in the enrollments table. So that is three entries for, let's say, different subject, or like, onto the, excuse me, now onto the CRUD operations. We have the select query, and now you can see there are three inputs. These are the three inputs that the Jane Smith has chosen mathematics as the course, and grade, for the grade he got is A. And for John Doe, in mathematics he has gotten A, and in science he has gotten B. Now we will add new student. So we added a new student. Again, if we run this, now it is not showing it here in this table because we have added it into the students table. So if we just give select star from student, there should be three entries. So you can see John Doe, Jane Smith, and Alice Johnson. This is the new entry that has been added into the students table. Now we can update the grades. So I want to set the grade A plus instead of A. So the student ID 1, which is for John Doe, and course 2. So in course 2, that means science, John Doe had B, as you can see here. He had the grade B, and I want to change it to A plus. That is why I would use this query. After this, if I again check this query, it should show A plus. Yes, you can see in science he has gotten A plus. So that is the update query. And now deleting a student record, that is, let's say some student has passed out of the college. So just to like clear the memory, we can just delete the students records. So I want to delete the student from id2. We'll just see who is on ID2, that is in this table. So on ID2, that is Jane Smith. And if we delete this record and run this select query again, we would only get the results of John Doe. As you can see, we only have his results because we just deleted the Jane Smith inputs. So this is the small student management system. This is just the backend. With this, integration of frontend is optional. Like for student project, you can just do this, like similar type of projects. There is hotel management, then there is hospital management system, like the bed working or the patient name, appointments, that comes under hospital. In hotel management, it's the menu, reservations, etc. One other good system would be railway management system. There are reservation for tickets, the seats, number of seats, passengers, all that. So there are many management systems. You can do project on any of them, and if you are capable, you can also add the front end. So most common ways to use MySQL, that is backend with front end, is the language PHP and Java. So for Java, there is JDBC, that is the Java database connection. So you can use those two language to integrate the backend and also make a front end for the project. So that was it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask them in the comments, and thank you for watching.